Good afternoon and welcome to Midday Report, coming to you live from Warsaw. I'm Saria Strzemska. And we start off with a breakthrough. India and the European Union appear to be just days away from sealing a major trade deal, one that could slash tariffs on European-made cars. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has already called it the mother of all deals.
This is the annual parade celebrating India's Republic Day. And this year, two special guests are in attendance, the President of the European Commission and the head of the European Council. Their goal? To sign a free trade agreement between the EU and the most populous country in the world.
India appears to be the natural choice. So both sides are very much interested in strengthening, their relations.
Despite having 1.5 billion citizens, India does less trade with Europe than Norway or Turkey, and is the EU's 9th trading partner, with bilateral trade in goods amounting to 120 billion euros. In recent years, the EU bought more stuff from India than India got from the EU. This deal, so the thinking goes, will change that.
It is expected, nonetheless, that India would decrease, tariffs on imports of products like alcohol and vehicles.
The EU is India's second biggest trading partner, so New Delhi is also counting on getting something out of the deal.
In the goods sector, where India is likely to see gains, really would be in labor-intensive sectors such as textiles and clothing, gems and jewelry, leather sector.
But experts caution the effects of the trade deal won't be revolutionary.
Well, it's very hard nowadays to assess the real significance of signing the FTA. We shall wait for a while and see how it could work in the years to come.
This stems not only from both markets being very guarded, but also from the specifics of the Indian market itself.
The Indian market has a lot of, let's put it honestly, poor customers. So, there would be a part of the middle class that would buy more, let's say, German or French cars, but that wouldn't, revolutionize EU exports of vehicles to India.
The deal has been more than 20 years in the making. So the question is, why is it happening now?
It is the United States and President Trump's policies which contributed a lot to strengthening the relations between the European Union and India.
And the experts are clear. Even though Brussels and New Delhi share a common headache in the form of Donald Trump, it's not enough to make the latter distance itself from Russia.
The European Union has given final approval to a new regulation that will phase out imports of Russian gas to the bloc. The move makes the EU's pledge to cut ties with Moscow once its top gas supplier legally binding. It comes nearly 4 years after the start of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. The measure sets a phased ban on Russian pipeline and liquefied natural gas, allowing temporary exemptions to limit market disruption. EU member states will be required to strengthen checks on the origin of gas imports and submit national plans to diversify their energy supplies. The decision comes amid continued strain in EU-Russia relations due to the war in Ukraine and broader security concerns across Europe. Now for the latest from Ukraine. The regions of Sumy and Zaporizhzhia came under Russian attack Sunday night. No deaths or injuries have been reported so far. In Sumy, the attack damaged several homes and sparked a fire, which has been extinguished by emergency services. In Zaporizhzhia, both infrastructure and residential buildings were hit and several homes damaged, as one of the strikes caused a fire at the impact site. Around 80% of the country is affected by power outages, leaving residents to scramble for heat as temperatures plummet to numbers as low as negative 16 degrees. It's been an especially cold winter in Ukraine. Yet in Kyiv, artists continue to create, even as power, water and heating shortages persist following Russian strikes. They say producing Ukrainian art is more important than ever, as Russia continues efforts to suppress and erase Ukraine's collective identity.
Our Ukrainian identity, which they're trying to destroy, means it's necessary to stay here and to fight back. That means you must keep working because you're a Ukrainian artist. You work in Ukraine during the war.
We must work. The world sees that we are alive and fighting, and that's in fact why they help us. And thanks to the fact that they see that art is alive, that artists, despite the cold, continue to paint. They continue not only to paint, but also to make sculptures, contemporary art, live performances. Artists are alive.
Moving on to the Middle East, Time magazine reports that according to two senior officials within Iran's health ministry, as many as 30,000 people were killed by the country's security forces on January 8th and 9th. While the figures cannot be independently verified, other sources have reported similarly staggering death tolls. This tally surpasses the toll of 3,117 announced on January 21st. It also exceeds a list compiled by activists meticulously assigning names to the dead. As of Saturday, the US-based human rights activists news agency confirmed close to 5,500 deaths and is investigating over 17,000 more. Some experts say the most of the killing occurred in the space of 2 days and involved explosives as well as gunfire. Millions of Iranians took to the streets after authorities imposed an internet blackout. Accounts by eyewitnesses and cell phone footage confirm the presence of rooftop snipers and trucks mounted with heavy machine guns firing on crowds of people. China's most senior general and Xi Jinping's close ally is facing serious allegations. He has been accused of leaking information about the country's nuclear weapons program to the United States and accepting bribes in exchange for official favors. The claims were first reported by the Wall Street Journal.
Beijing continues its so-called anti-graft campaign, which saw 8 top generals expelled from the ruling Communist Party on graft charges in October. Chang Youxia, China's most senior general and second in command after Xi Jinping, is under investigation for allegedly leaking information about the country's nuclear weapons program to the US. Aside from leaking sensitive information, Chang is accused of accepting bribes for official acts alongside Liu Zhenli, another high-ranking official.
So I think purges have been always common in China, but then the intensity, the frequency of it tells us that there is instability despite this modernization, despite the achievement that China have been projecting in terms of modernization, in terms of defense of the country. But despite that, there is a lot of instability.
The shakeup in the upper echelons of China's political elite is being closely monitored by Taiwan.
We will continue to closely monitor abnormal changes among the top levels of China's party, government and military leadership. We will use a range of joint intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance methods, as well as intelligence sharing, to read all kinds of indicators and signs to assess China's possible intentions.
With the probe into Chang and Liu, the Central Military Commission, China's supreme military command body, is down to only 2 members: Xi, the chairman, and Jiang Xingmin, who is responsible for the military's disciplinary affairs.
Moldovan President Maia Sandu is on an official visit to Poland. Security issues, economic relations and cooperation with Moldova in the field of historical memory were the topics of consultations. Moldova's integration with the European Union was also discussed. Let's bring in our reporter Sonia Gatabiszczan with the latest.
Moldovan President Maia Sandu is on an official visit to Poland, and among other things, her agenda includes meeting the Polish President Karol Nawrocki and Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk. Following the meeting with Sandu, Karol Nawrocki said that the Moldovan president and government are an excellent example of how to resist the Russian threat. Maia Sandu has been Moldova's president since 2020 and is considered a leader of pro-European forces in the country. Last year, her Party of Action and Solidarity won the parliamentary elections, defeating the pro-Russian Russian opposition. Maja Sandu, on the other hand, said that she looks to Poland for lessons in historical remembrance and considers Warsaw an important partner in resisting the Russian threat.
When Russia invaded Ukraine, Moldova was highly exposed, 100% dependent on Russian gas, vulnerable in electricity, and economically somewhat linked to Russia. With support from partners, including from Poland, we moved fast. Today, Moldova buys zero Russian gas and consumes zero electricity produced from Russian gas. Our trade with Russia is now below 4%.
Poland has long supported Moldova's aspirations to join the European Union, and the Polish president reaffirmed that that is still the case. From Warsaw, for TVP World, I'm Sonia Agata-Biszczan.
Energy ministers and heads of state from 9 European countries have come together in Hamburg, pledging new investments in offshore wind and hydropower. The move is part of a broader push to strengthen Europe's energy security and independence. Our correspondent Maciej Wilnowski is on the ground and has more.
Earlier today, energy ministers from 9 European countries, plus officials representing the European Commission and NATO, signed a declaration pledging 100 gigawatts in collaborative offshore wind investments in the North Sea by the year 2050. Now, the focus of these investments is threefold: energy security, independence, and interconnectivity, not just for the region, but for Europe as a whole. This comes as the old continent faces increased threats, whether they be cyber, security, or geopolitical, with many emanating from Russia in the east. I spoke with the Norwegian energy minister on the topic to ask how best Europe and the countries in the region should respond to these threats.
The key factor is cooperation between our countries, share information, having the best available monitoring available to detect attacks, and also making sure that they who want to infect the systems will be catched and taken and be responsible for the measures that they have done in the energy sector.
And cooperation between countries in the region and in Europe in general will become ever more important as these security threats intensify. From Hamburg, Germany, I'm Maciej Wilnowski reporting for TVP World.
And we continue with business news. The price of gold rose to a new high on Monday, reaching an unprecedented level of over $5,000 an ounce. Gold prices rose more than 2% during early Monday trading, briefly surpassing $5,090 an ounce before setting around $5,050. The precious metal has gained 17% so far this year. In 2025, gold prices experienced a 64% increase, marking the strongest annual rise in over 4 decades. Silver also rallied, crossing the $100 an ounce mark for the first time. Analysts attribute the surge in demand for gold and other metals to investors seeking safe haven assets amid heightened global uncertainty. And now on a lighter note, Wrocław Zoo has an adorable new camera operator, a tigress named Indera. Curious about a camera inside her enclosure, she decided to test its durability and quickly proved it wasn't up to the job. Take a look. And with this, we conclude Midday Report. Thank you for watching, and please stay tuned for more here on TVP World.